Hi there, and welcome to another one of my classic reviews, where I pick one of my all-time favourite movies, give it a rewatch, and then come review it. And in this video I'm going to be talking about a genre which I don't really talk about that often, musicals, and my all-time favourite musical, West Side Story. So West Side Story is from 1961, and it won the Oscar for Best Picture, and as well as the Golden Globe for Best Musical, and it was a massive hit at the time, and it won 10 Oscars, which is quite a big deal. And surprisingly for the Oscars, I actually think this is a really good choice. This is a fantastic film. So West Side Story is basically an adaptation, loosely, a reimagining kind of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, but set in West Side New York, and covers two gangs, a Puerto Rican gang and a white gang, and a boy from one gang and a girl from another gang fall in love, and that's the story. So what makes West Side Story for me absolutely fascinating as a movie musical is just how unique it is in the world of movie musicals. So for example, unlike a lot of musicals, this is very much a working class tale. It's a tale of poverty, it's a tale of immigration, and it really is a film about that in a lot of ways. A lot of the songs, a lot of the things reference the fact that this is a story of poverty and the fact that these are gangs and this is a disaffected youth. There's some throwaway lines in here that have loads of nuggets of truth in them. There's one which is where an adult tells a child that they make the world lousy, and the child goes, well, we didn't make the world. Like stuff like this about the gap between generations, and there's a lot of little ideas here and there in West Side Story which make it sort of nice and pertinent, and I think it's interesting. I think it sort of holds up. The racism in West Side Story is also interesting, with the Puerto Rican gang suffering racism from the authorities, and also the fact that there's just this whole sort of racial conflict. In fact, I think West Side Story is full of these little things here and there which make it a real fascinating tale of its time. I mean, obviously it's a very sanitised, whitewashed version of gang life and of racial tension, but nonetheless, as a musical, it's kind of bold for doing that and for tackling those issues, and it does it in a way which is easily digestible, but also fun and also really heartwarming. So the musical aspects of West Side Story basically are very dance heavy. It's not a musical that's full of singing per se. In fact, although there is some songs, it really is a musical about the dancing in a lot of instances. In fact, the opening sequence is one of the finest dance sequences in movie history, if not the finest. It's a fantastic piece of masculine dance where often in the film things are told through the dance. The story is told through expressionistic movement. It's very much a movie where the tension of the film comes through the dance. In fact, I think it's very notable that really all of the gang stuff comes through the dance, and it's the romance that's done through the singing. In fact, the romance scenes are really tender and sweet. In fact, one of the things that's really interesting about West Side Story is it's quite a contrasted movie. It has these really energetic dance sequences to represent the gangs and their fights, and then it has these wonderful singing sections which often emphasise the two lovers. It's one of those movies where the love itself is just so brilliant and just so romantic, and it really is one of those films that if you've got a little bit of a romantic heart, it will really just make you fall in love with it. It's a film where the romance is undying and it's there, and whenever the lovers see each other, you know, it's like there is no other world. Like, in fact, literally sometimes the background blurs out, or the rest of the screen blurs out or disappears, you know, or the rest of the world mimics them. The lovers are themselves. There is no one else but their love in those moments, and their songs are tender and sweet and heartfelt, you know. And to be fair, do they need anyone else? I mean, does a marriage ceremony need anyone beside the two lovers? They are together, and that is what they're meant to be. What also makes West Side Story interesting is that it's not just a story of love, it's a story of hate, and hate begets other hate, and violence begets other violence, and hatred is everywhere, and it takes only a second for this hatred to appear in the characters, and the characters get caught up in the moments of hate, and so it's a cycle of hatred, and it's about overcoming that and the way that maybe love tries to overcome that. There's a lot of other little just things here and there. It's a really sweet movie. In fact, West Side Story just has some wonderful looks at hatred and love, and just it's really heart-wrenching to get to that final moment. In fact, I think all the characters come to a realisation towards the end, and it's quite moving that they do so. In fact, one of the things that makes West Side Story kind of interesting is that of all the Shakespeare adaptations that I've seen, it's one of the ones that really captures Shakespeare without ever quoting Shakespeare, I don't think. Shakespeare's whole thing was that he has simple themes, but he understood them really well, and West Side Story also does that. It has simple ideas of love and hate, but it understands them very well. It also has a real pop culture sensibility. It's a film which is designed for the mass market, and it's designed for everybody, and it really is a shining beacon of pop culture. The songs are across the board pretty wonderful. They're all good. I like all of them, but I think the standouts to me are America and G Officer Krupke. But America is a fantastic song. I think it's one of the best pieces of pop culture ever made about immigration. It's a song about duality, about the immigrant experience in America, about, on the one hand, well, it's better than being back home, we're wealthier, we're richer, but on the other hand, we're in America and we're treated like shit for being immigrants, which is a fascinating dynamic and one that's done really, really well. I think a particularly interesting section of the song is the line, "Life is alright in America if you're all white in America," which I think has a lot of truth to it in a lot of ways. The second song that I heard of was G Officer Cupkey, which is funny and charming and fun and witty, but it also has kind of this underlying anti-authority sort of message, and also this sense of being let down by various levels of society. It's an interesting multi-layered little piece as well. So there's loads of little moments in West Side Story that I just love. It's not a film, it's a film I can see people having flaws with and having criticisms of, but as a whole, every time I watch West Side Story, I get caught up in the romance. I love the music, I get caught up in the energetic dance sequences. It's also really, really cinematic. I mean, it makes a good use of a variety of shots. It has a lot of good landscapes. The urban production design is fantastic. The use of editing is sublime. They really make a point of cutting at really precise moments. Some of the dance sequences, the way they cut between two dance moments are really, really important. They will really transfer the mood of an entire sequence with certain cuts, which is something that I think a lot of movies don't use. For example, like the very recently released Greatest Showman, it really didn't know how to be a musical, whereas West Side Story, being, I guess, kind of from that classic era of musical where they were at their real peak, really understands how to make a fucking musical right. This is really it nailed. So West Side Story for me is just one of the musicals which has a lot more heart and grit than more musicals. Like, I'm not a big fan of saccharine stuff, and although West Side Story certainly has its cheesy moments, it's a film that's not built upon them. It's built upon a sincere look at the way humans interact and a sincere look at people. It's done with a fascinating style and with great music and great dancing and great performances, and it's just one of those films I can just endlessly rewatch. It's one of those films that always works for me. I really, really love it, and I think it's one of those films that just proves that at the end of the day, there is no genre that is bad. I might not be a fan of musicals, but West Side Story is one of the 2 or 3 which I'm like, no, these are masterpieces. There is no limit to what can be a great film. And this is a fantastic piece of cinema, and West Side Story is a film that, if you haven't already seen it, although I imagine most people have because it's such a well-known classic, I'm going to say you should give it a watch. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, West Side Story, fantastic piece of cinema. Let me know your thoughts if you've seen it, and if you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to hear more of my reviews, rants, talks, raves, then subscribe, and you can follow me on Letterboxd or Twitter, links in the description. So yeah, thanks for watching.